Well, as you can tell, we're not in a car today. I think Angela's disappointed. She kind of likes putting her life in her own hands once a week, riding with me. But today we're back in the office, at least for today. I'm as guilty as anybody, maybe more so. The Bible can be read a variety of ways. One of the ways that I've chosen to read it for most of my life is in the most pragmatic way possible. Because I don't think people come to church to hear about theoretical things. They come for very practical advice and guidance. And so I try to cut to the chase and give you in a scripture, in a passage, exactly what it calls us to do, the action it asks us to take. Well, the more I've done that and the more comfortable I'm with doing it, the more I realize that I probably have done a disservice to people because I haven't really taught you how to read the Bible or how to hear it. And so going forward, I'm probably going to spend a lot more time doing some things that most people might look at as really boring, like trying to put the context around passages of Scripture. And it can sound historical, it can sound literary, and it can sound really boring to people. Now, there will always be a pragmatic action. There'll always be something to do. But oftentimes, we don't put things within their context, and I think that the disservice is we don't read the Bible very well. There's passages in Ephesians and Colossians, and they're called the household codes. They're the things that say, wives submit to husbands, don't punish your children severely, thus and so forth. You could read them in Ephesians 5 and Colossians 2 or Colossians 3, I forget. But they're called household codes. And oftentimes when you read them in America in the 21st century, it sounds really oppressive. It does. But when you realize that they were written in the first century, and you put them in the context of which Paul was writing, where only men read Scripture, only men could read, period, and only men were in charge, the household codes actually come across in their own context as revolutionary. Because he actually tells men for the first time that you're supposed to love your wife as you love your own body. That had never been said to them before. They thought everybody was there to obey them. They didn't realize they were supposed to be loving someone to the point of their own body. And when it talks about children, it talks about, children obey your parents, but parents, especially fathers, don't do anything that aggravates or agitates your children. And men weren't used to being spoken to that way. So Paul is really, in context, changing things. He's revolutionizing things. He's actually leveling the playing field and not making it so oppressive for children and women. But that's in its context. And putting things in context takes a lot of work, and it makes us hear the Bible differently. And some people don't want to hear the Bible differently. I get it. But it's the truth. I'll end with this. I'll end with this. The first rule of hermeneutics is, unless what you're reading meant something to the ones who first heard it, it can't mean anything to you. So you have to go back and figure out what was being said to the original hearers. Because anything that we glean from that has got to be practical advice and guidance for them before it ever is for us. That's your 6-minute sermon. Bye now.